This first key, which is the first key of the 8 keys of an effective business presentation, this first key has a lot of content, has plenty of material, information and substance in it, and therefore it will be presented to you in the form of 2 videos. This is video number 1, which will be half of the first key, which is substance. And after you finish this first part, you will have the opportunity to look at the second part, which is video number 2 of the first key again. Thank you very much. Welcome and hello. My name is Arjun, and if you've just tuned in, I recommend you watch the introduction video before you get on with this one. Our subject for this series of videos is the 8 keys to effective business presentations. 8 keys to effective business presentations. And here we will start with key number 1. Key number 1. And key number 1 is the word substance. Substance. This is the first S. Remember, there are 8 S's and a separate video for each S, and the introduction and conclusion videos too. So key number 1 is substance. Now this is the most comprehensive of the 8 keys. Once you get this key done, the rest of the keys fall into place around it. Key number 1, substance, is the master key. It is the domino that affects every other key in the formula. So what is substance? What is substance? Before you board a train, you'd better know where it's headed. You can't book an Uber taxi without specifying the final destination, without specifying your final destination. A cinema won't sell you a ticket unless you specify the exact movie that you wish to watch. In his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. That's habit number 2 from The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Your presentation substance, your content, your material must be all about the end result or outcome that you want from your business presentation. Your substance cannot be effective if you do not know what outcome you want from your presentation. Your content will be weak if you haven't clarified the end result that you want your presentation to deliver. Therefore, before you build your presentation substance, you need to define your presentation purpose. Purpose. Here is the first question to ask when building your presentation substance. Here is the first question to ask. The first question is, what is the purpose of my presentation? What is the purpose of my presentation? This is a good question to start your preparation with. Remember what Stephen Covey said. He said, begin with the end in mind. You cannot plot your journey if you do not know the destination, and you cannot build your substance if you do not know your outcome. So we ask, what is the purpose of my presentation? What do I want my presentation to accomplish? What end result or outcome do I want my presentation to deliver? Now, for each of you listening, you might have a different purpose. Your purpose may vary per your industry, your market, your company, your product, your role, your audience, or even your specific situation. And that's okay, but we've got to get precise here. There needs to be absolute clarity absolute clarity about your presentation purpose. Otherwise, you're going to drive your presentation off a cliff, and that would be a disaster. So let's get explicit. Let's hone this process even further. Let's look at your presentation purpose. Let's look at your presentation purpose from three different perspectives. Let's talk about the three levels of presentation purpose. The three levels of presentation purpose. Remember again, the reason we want clarity on purpose, is so that we can insert substance that is relevant to your purpose, to that purpose. And the substance that is relevant to your purpose makes substance which is relevant to your purpose makes your business presentation effective. So, once again, what was our starting question when building our substance or content? What was our starting question? The question was, what is the purpose of my presentation? What is the purpose of my presentation? And our three levels of presentation purpose are these. These are the three levels of presentation purpose. Level number one, what is the general purpose of my presentation? What is the general purpose? What is the general purpose of this presentation, or what is the general purpose of my presentation? Level number two, what is the specific purpose of my presentation? What is the specific purpose of my presentation? And level number three, what is the higher purpose of my presentation? Okay, so once again, what is the general purpose of my presentation? What is the specific purpose of my presentation? And what is the higher purpose of this presentation that I am about to deliver? And once you define your purpose from the perspective of these three levels, there onwards, your material, your content, your substance will be a piece of cake. It will pay you well to ask these three questions prior to preparing the substance for each of your presentations. So now let's go ahead and examine each of these three levels of purpose. Level number one, okay, so we're going to go deeper into each of these three levels of purpose. Level number one, what is my general purpose for this particular presentation? I'd like to suggest that the general purpose for your business presentation is a binary choice. It is a fork in the road with just two options. Your general purpose for your upcoming business presentation is either to convince your audience, or to convey to your audience. Convince or convey. Convince or convey. These are the two options which are part of your general purpose. So ask yourself at the very beginning, what is my general purpose here? Is it to convince or is it to convey? Sometimes, instead of convince, I like to use the word to inspire. And instead of the word convey, I like to use the word to inform. Is your purpose to inspire or to inform? For the purpose of simplicity, however, let's just stay with the words convince and convey. Is that okay? We'll just stay with the words convince and convey. So ask yourself, what is the general purpose of my presentation? Is it to convince or is it to convey? Now you might say, well, it's a bit of both. Yeah, but which is it more of? What's the bigger picture here? If you could have only one outcome, convince or convey, which would it be? Now, of course, you might need to convey in order to convince, but your purpose, your outcome, your end result is still to convince. This means that you are conveying in order to convince, but the final outcome is still to convince. Yes? Did you get me on that, or did I get you on that? So be crystal clear on your general purpose. In the time that you have with your audience, what is it that you want to accomplish? Is it to convey to them, or is it to convince them? Now, it's possible that you are making a presentation with your boss or business partner, and as part of that, your role might be to convey, while his or her role might be to convince, or vice versa. Regardless, have clarity. Leave no room for ambiguity or vagueness in this matter, all right? So, what is my general purpose? Is my general purpose to convince, or is it to convey? Let's say you are a leader and your general purpose in that upcoming presentation is to convince. Okay, so you're a leader, your general purpose in an upcoming presentation is to convince. Then when your general purpose is to convince, remember to use A, logic, which is information, and B, emotion, which is inspiration. So when you're convincing in a presentation, you want to use a combination of logic or information and emotion or inspiration to effectively persuade. To effectively persuade, let your presentation substance have a healthy mix of information and inspiration. So now you're building your substance aligned with your purpose, which in this case is to convince, and putting in content or substance that has information and inspiration in a mix that suits your audience. We'll talk more about audience needs later in this series. Now, here's the way to persuade in business. Here's the way to persuade in business. In order to convince, your presentation substance must contain benefits. Benefits, the word is benefits. To deliver an effective convince presentation, an effective convince business presentation, express benefits in your presentation substance and express those benefits to your audience in the form of time saved, money saved or money earned, and reputation enhanced. These are the three ways to express benefits in business. Express benefits to your stakeholders in the form of time saved, money saved or money earned, and reputation enhanced. And when you do this, you are on your way to fulfilling your general purpose, which in this case is to convince. Remember, your audience wants to know the following. They want to know, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? WIIFM. What's in it for me? Why should I agree to your proposal? What gain, what benefits will accrue to me if I say yes to your idea? And when you showcase benefits and express those benefits as time, money, and reputation, you now move them closer to saying yes to your proposal. Now, here's an important tip. When expressing benefits, use visuals, use bar charts, pie charts, a line graph, or other visual depictions so that people can see the benefits that will come to them. This is now an effective convince business presentation. Okay, there's a lot more to that, but these are the basics. It's getting a bit intense now, isn't it? We've got plenty more ground to cover, so let's get on with it. When you prepare yourself for a convince presentation, then delivering a convey presentation becomes a whole lot easier. A convey presentation is primarily about presenting information in bite-sized chunks. Whether convince or convey, whether you're doing a convince or a convey presentation, dialogue, pause, and ask questions as you proceed. And if you're using slides, limit each slide to 3 key ideas, no more than 5. Okay? Just a guideline, just a suggestion. Use visuals and leave no room for questions at the end, because you have been so thorough in the presentation of your material. Now, I'm not saying you don't manage Q&A. Remember, that's an important part of your presentation, but you convey the benefits in the form of time, money, and reputation. You dialogue, you pause, and you ask questions, and therefore you leave no doubt or room for concern at the end. If there is no convincing required, then just make sure that you have all your data and all your information correctly represented. Spell check your material and test your animations. Okay, we're keeping this brief. Plenty more if you attend one of my workshops or decide to get coaching with me in this area, but this is enough for you to get started. Okay, so that was all about your presentation purpose level number 1. What is my general purpose? Is it to convince or is it to convey? With convince presentations, use logic, information, and emotion, inspiration. And the way to convince is to showcase, to present benefits to your audience and express these benefits as time, money, and reputation. And you now have an effective business presentation. Okay, so let's go to level 2. Level 2 of your business presentation purpose. Remember, level 1 was what is my general purpose, and level 2 is what is my specific purpose, or what is the specific purpose of my business presentation. And your specific purpose, the specific purpose for your business presentation is this. It is this. Ask yourself, as a result of my presentation, what do I want my audience to do more of, less of, start doing, and stop doing? What exactly do I want my audience to do more of, less of, start doing, and stop doing? Be precise. Answer each of these 4 questions in writing before inserting any substance into your business presentation. Be specific, be clear, concur with your partners and stakeholders about these 4 areas: more of, less of, start doing, and stop doing. Remember, you are delivering your presentation largely because you want your audience to do something that they were not doing before. So what is it exactly that you want them to do? What actions do you want them to take? What do you want them to do more of, less of, start doing, and stop doing? This is the specific purpose of your business presentation. It's possible that you may want them to start doing something and there's nothing that you want them to do more of or less of or stop doing, and that's okay. That works too. Either ways, you now have a higher level of clarity, and hence you have a better ability to choose substance that will be germane and hence effective in the delivery of your business presentation. Okay, so that's all about business presentations purpose level 2. What is my specific purpose? Okay, what is my specific purpose? And finally, business presentation purpose level 3. So purpose 1 was, what is my general purpose? Number 2, what is my specific purpose? And number 3, what is my higher purpose? What is the higher purpose? The higher purpose of my business presentation. So just to recap, your presentation general purpose was to convince or convey, and you chose one of the two, right? That was a binary choice. Your specific purpose was answering the question more of, less of, start doing, and stop doing. And your business presentation higher purpose is this. The higher purpose of your business presentation is to help, to add value, to support, to serve, to assist the people whom you are presenting to. Your higher purpose is to be of value to your audience, to enhance their knowledge and their well-being, to give them relief, to bring them results. Your higher purpose is to bring joy into their lives. If your general purpose and your specific purpose was about content, then your higher purpose is about intent. This is the higher purpose of your presentation. In many ways, this is probably the most important of the 3 levels of purpose, because when you go into a presentation with an attitude of service and assistance, there is little room for nervousness or stress.